Alright, so here's a video I put together on transplanting seeds. The first video I kind of left out on the indoor part. It's where I transplant the seeds from the small pot to the larger pot. And then shortly after that, we'll come outside out here and we'll show you how I put the pots in the ground. You guys can see how I do it. There's, again, millions of ways to do it. This is just how I do it. So I hope you guys sign up for the YouTube challenge and follow along. All right, here's a couple backup seeds in the smaller pots. These would have been soaked and sanded about 58 hours ago. Now, from the time I soak and sand them, I'll leave them in these small pots for approximately 6 days. That's the day that I'll take and put them into the larger pots. And again, that'll just be either Fox Farm or Miracle-Gro potting mix. I mix it the same way. Azos, mycorrhiza, companion essential, 5-2 seaweed, maybe a little bit of fish fertilizer. And then right there, what I was doing is I make the hole and I'll set the pot down in there. And if you happen to get a plant that gets a little bit leggy, you can make your hole a little bit deeper and get it so that your plant is still okay at this point. This here is going to be the 2554 Andrews. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see some roots are just starting to make their way to the bottom of the pot. They're not root bound, they're not wrapping around the sides, but that also makes the root ball a little bit harder to hold together. So try to be really careful when you take it out. And then if you'll notice, the big healthy roots are all pointing straight down still. They haven't started to wrap around. And then just carefully and gently set that down into the hole that you already have set to the right height. And then fill in with the soil and pack up around it. This will wrap up showing you how I transplant from the smaller pots into the larger pots, and then now we'll move outside and show you how we go from the large pots to the actual ground. If you look right here, I had set my 5-gallon pot in the ground already when I tilled, and I tilled around it. That already leaves a hole existing for when I bring my other pot out. Then in this hole, I'll take a couple shovels full of potting mix. Again, this will either be Miracle-Gro, Fox Farm, or both of them mixed together. That potting mix will already be moistened to the right amount with the same ingredients as I used inside. You're going to have your azos, you're going to have your mycorrhizas, then you'll have essential, companion, TKO, Wow, 5-2 seaweed, a little bit of Neptune's fish, maybe some seaweed fertilizer from Neptune's also. I mix that all together to the right moisture, and I'll dump that in the hole, and I'll also pack in around the 5-gallon bucket with that. Before I did this, one step I didn't show is each hole received 1 gallon of merit. I think you mix the merit 9.86 milliliters to a gallon, and I water in the hole and all around there. These are the pre-cut pots that I showed in the last video. I'll take the 4 pieces of tape off the bottom, remove the bottom, and then also loosen up the tape on the side. Then I'll just set that pot down in the hole and peel the tape off the sides, and we'll be able to slide the sides right up off the pot. When your seed first sprouts, you'll have 2 leaves. Those are your cots. The next leaf, which will be the 3rd leaf, is actually your first true leaf. Your main vine will grow the opposite direction of your first true leaf. So make sure that you have your pot in the hole the right direction. Once I get my pot in at the angle I want and the height I want, before I peel the sides off the pots, I'll take that potting mix that I mixed up and pack in all around the pot. I found this leaves plenty of moisture around the outside of the root ball, and I don't have to water in. I kind of want the roots to start searching for the moisture on their own, so that way the roots get big and strong. Now I do use, for the last 2 years, weed fabric on my patch, and I only cut a very small hole, trying to prevent as many weeds from growing up as I can. That's why this is taking a little bit longer. I'm just kind of folding the corners back and getting the soil down there. If you didn't have the fabric down, you'd just pack your soil right around and be done doing this by now. Now that the pot is all braced in, I gently peel off the tape on both sides of the pot. And once you get this tape off, you just slide out one side at a time, and it will not disturb your root ball, even with these larger 5-gallon pots. Also, after I get it set on each one of these, I will water in a little bit more merit around the base and the roots of these. I didn't show that in this video, but that also gets done. Here I'm just getting everything positioned back where I want it. The little space heaters, I make sure that they're not going to tip over, that they can't get rained on, and they're facing away from the plant, and I don't want to burn the leaves. I also don't want the heaters facing towards the greenhouse opener on the front, because then it'll heat up the opener and open up the hoops too soon. Right there, what you see me doing is just taking some little wooden stakes, and you support the leaves, because when the wind comes on these younger plants, it's very easy for them to break off the leaves. So all that those sticks are doing is just providing a little bit of support. And over on the far side, I have the thermometer for the soil heating cables, and also a Wi-Fi thermometer that lets me know the temperature inside the hut. And here's a quick look at all 4 plants after they've been set in the ground. And after we get through these, I have a watermelon I set out, and I use the black plastic for it. Now here's a look at the patch with the fence. I have the scale down front. The scales aren't plugged in yet, obviously. Just a walking board out to the hoop huts. If you'll notice, the hoop huts are all open about 12 to 18 inches. That's because on the front I have the greenhouse window openers mounted there, and that will regulate the temperature inside my hut. And if you look on the top, I got kind of lazy this year. I used some white spray paint and I just mist it over the top of my plastic. It created a haze. And you can see inside it's a little bit more shaded than it normally would. I do have shade fabric. I just got into a hurry. And if you want a quick trick, that works amazing. The white will reflect sunlight and give you just a little bit of shade, keep your leaves from burning. Because if you look down there, one of those leaves on that one is burnt from before I put the spray paint on top. All right, I'll leave you with a few photos of some pumpkins in my patch over the last couple years. And please remember, sign up and join us at hashtag Sizedoesmatter YouTube challenge. I will leave a link in the description. And go ahead and grow some giants, and God bless.